Welcome to our first Community Partner Showcase event. This is part of our online series marking the 10th anniversary of the Hostile Environment Policy in the UK, and it's made possible under the Pathways to Settlement grant from our funders Trust for London, supporting our community work here at New Europeans UK. As most of you watching know, this year marks the 10th anniversary since then Home Secretary Theresa May announced the hostile policy for the first time. And to mark this anniversary, we're cultivating the space for an in-depth retrospective on how this policy has affected the third sector, the wider community, and individuals on the receiving end. We're also going to be asking the question, where to next, which would come at the end of today's session. The hostile environment policy has been affecting individuals in the UK for the past decade, and in parallel to that, it has had an effect on the community organisations working with or for those individuals on the ground. So today we have Kulan, a charity that has been working for the community for over 20 years and who we at New Europeans UK have been working with for just over a year. Kulan work with more communities than one language group or one ethnicity. They work with minoritized communities across 3 London boroughs.
Hi everyone, my name is Arala, the Secretary of Kulan Somali Organisation, which is a registered charity UK organisation, and we provide services and advice to the BAME community, but in particular the Somali and Burunese community in 3 boroughs, at the moment in Kensington and Chelsea, Westminster and Newham. We provide different services and advice for different groups. So for example, some of the services we provide, we give advice on debt and immigration, housing, health and well-being workshops, art and cultural activities for children and families. We also refer clients to external services and signpost them when needed. And we also do quite a lot of like mentoring services and coaching for all age groups, and also we're doing befriending services as well. We provide services and advice to all age group from birth to elderly. So yeah, we kind of work with different age groups. It's been exciting since the end of pandemic. It's been quite stressful actually for the community in terms of coming back to normality. Everybody's been affected mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and we're just working hard to kind of get people back to normality and interacting again face to face.
So hi everyone, I'm Neda. I work for the Kensington and Chelsea Social Council, which is a charity based in the borough of Kensington and Chelsea, not to be confused with the council itself. Our kind of main area of work is supporting the local voluntary sector. So any local organizations, whether they're registered charities, social enterprises, or informal community groups, can access one-to-one support and training through any member of our organizational development team. We also advocate on behalf of the sector. So where there are clear patterns or challenges that organizations are facing, we work with the council, we work with funders, we work with lots of different stakeholders to try to kind of enact sector-wide change. Some of the support we provide will be fundraising support, help with setting up the organization itself if they're not already registered, monitoring and evaluation, kind of infrastructural support, developing policies, that kind of thing. So really it's completely tailored to the needs of the organizations themselves, and where we don't have the in-house expertise, we refer to other organizations. So as KCSE, we have worked with Kulan as well as with the Venture Centre, where Wasim is working. And myself personally, outside of that work, I also manage a program that is centered around democratizing access to services and decision-making within the local voluntary sector. So the idea is to get more residents on boards, on steering groups, in user involvement committees, all the different ways that people can influence the decisions and the activities and services that are available to them in the borough. So that's one of the, I think, the main things that connected Orala and I when we first met, because Kulan have a real clear resident or service user-led approach. All the way that they talk about what it is that they do and the way they make decisions around the services they're going to deliver is completely driven by what they hear from local community members, which is great to see, because we expect everybody to do that, but it's not always the case, unfortunately. In terms of the specific work that Kulan and I have done together, we've done a bit of infrastructural work. So I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, there was, as Arella mentioned, a real need for support around access to kind of food for people that were unable to get out of their homes, as well as digital devices. That was a big thing because, as she mentioned previously, there are challenges around not only access to the devices themselves, but also kind of digital literacy. So we did a lot of work around that, trying to see if we could secure devices for people, but also how we could fundraise for Kulan to be able to purchase the equipment themselves. We looked at other funding opportunities over the period. So we worked together on a couple of applications, and Orella has also worked with colleagues of mine in the health and wellbeing team. So at KCSC, one of the things we do is work with the NHS and deliver contracts on behalf of them, and that includes working with community providers of health and wellbeing services. So, as Arella already mentioned, a lot of the work they do is around improving access to health services, but also kind of tailoring the type of activities that are available to people's, existing lifestyles, the things they're used to, cultural practices, and making those spaces more comfortable for them. So Kulan were awarded funding through KCSC to run a health and wellbeing project that was culturally appropriate. That included walking groups, information sessions on different health conditions. So yeah, just as I say, making health more accessible to people. I would say the other thing that stood out to me, just to kind of end on a note, was Orella introduced me to a community I was not aware of, much to my embarrassment, the Barrowanese community. So we hear a lot about the Somali groups in the area. We've got a big Somali community in Kensington and Chelsea. We do have a lot of groups that work with them, but Orella has really opened my eyes to kind of diversity within also the Somali community itself.
Hi guys, my name is Wasim. I am the Community Champions Lead here in Goulburn. I'm based out of the Venture Centre in Goulburn, and Community Champions program is a program which is funded by Public Health, and it runs across like multiple boroughs. I think there's around 9 Community Champions programs in Kensington and Chelsea. In general, the Community Champions are a neighbourhood-based volunteers that work on housing estates to promote health and well-being. We try to empower the champions to, by educating them, upskilling them, and help them run health campaigns, community fun days, weekly activity groups, and to create links and resonance with local services in order to create social movement for health from the ground up and led, by local action. At the Venture Centre, we have a lot of, we have a space, and we use that space to try to, create activities and events which are going to kind of bring positivity and change for the residents. When I was introduced to Kulan and Orella, we saw that some of our, our goals aligned, and we were hoping to work together to kind of use both of our scope and our reach to connect with more people. The area which I'm in is very diverse in ethnic cultures and nationalities. So in general, it's nice when they see kind of different people, trying to connect with them so that we can develop trust. We've worked with Kulan to provide them a space and to try to use our reach to bring people in to do courses such as well-being courses. We've worked together to organize events. One of the key things when it comes to health, which kind of over gets looked, is the aspect of social health. There's a lot of focus on physical health, mental health. Social health is a key one, especially coming out of the pandemic. So we hosted an event together in partnership with Kulan, where we invited people to come in. We connected with the local councillors, and it was a nice social event where there was food, there was different organizations, and it was just an opportunity for people to connect with others. We aim to work on more events in the future, such as a nice Eid party celebration in the coming weeks. And we hope moving forward we could continue to kind of work hand in hand to grow both of our presence in the community, and to do more outreach and to help support the local residents through the struggles that they face. One of the benefits of the Community Champions programs is the volunteers are people from within the community. So, their neighbors will be familiar with their faces. They will trust them that, that they have their best interests at heart. And the scope and the reach that we can have together can hopefully allow us to do more great things and to provide more support for people moving forward. So I look forward to continuing our partnership with Kulan and also with the Kensington and Chelsea Social Council.
One of the ways, quite a few ways actually. So on our website, we have a contact form for like anyone who would like to do volunteering, and would advertise our volunteering or staff jobs on there. We advertise on Indeed, and we encourage a lot of people when we're having events or we are taking part in like stalls or events. We encourage the community to come and join, and that's how we also we've engaged with people to offer them like volunteering or work opportunities. To be honest, access to free healthcare is very important, because I think if you look at having access to free healthcare is actually vital, if not is between life. Sometimes it can be between life and death. And if people can't access something as free healthcare, you can't take health back. Once if you're having a health problem and it's gone to a certain stage, it's irreversible. So I think that's one thing I would like to let the Home Office know in terms of shaping the hostile environment. So there's 3 points, and one of them is the community said that they want to see economic health in terms of the cost of living has risen. So they would like to see fair, equal opportunities to jobs. A lot of people have lost their jobs during the pandemic, closed their restaurants or businesses. So they need a lot of support into that. And because things have become expensive and the cost of living has risen, a lot of people need support in terms of access to additional funding or, resources of funding. A lot of people are struggling. They are accessing food banks, even those who are working. So there's quite a high demand into that. They also like to have availability to access equal health opportunities. So since the pandemic, a lot of services have gone digitalized. So the community we are helping, there's a high concern, especially for the older adults, that they can't access digital platform. So again, they are not having equal opportunities to for example, see their GP when they need to, or access services, or apply for something as simple as universal credit. So they are struggling, and that's where they need our support. And it's like continuously they need our support to apply, to chase up, to even open something like creating a Hotmail or an email address so that they can communicate with the other organizations. And then there's also, since the pandemic, the community have realized the importance of being healthy in terms of knowing what health is and what health services are available. And then again, that's where we are doing a lot of workshops on health awareness, educating the community what health really means and what does it really mean to them, and also explaining what services and opportunities are available to help this type. A lot of people are not aware. So if you're not aware of what's out there, you're not going to go and ask for support or ask for help. So it's really creating that space where people feel safe and they are able to have access and information to what's available in the community. So a sense of a safe so the people want places where they can go and interact and feel a sense of belonging and build that positive kind of connection in the community. And I think that's really important that we encourage that, and we are offering services and platforms where they can do that and engage.
it's ironic because last week I received a phone call at the center, and my center used to run, I guess, what they call a surgery, where the local councillors used to come in and offer meetings to the local people. Unfortunately, I think during the transition that stopped. However, during the event that Kulan hosted here, we were able to connect with one of the new local councillors, and she made a presence. She actually reached out to us the other day and said she's hoping to restart the surgery here. The phone call I had was from a, how can I say this, distressed local resident who is seeking help. She spoke for a very long time about her distress and the feeling of not being able to find support or how to connect with people to kind of help her with her issues. The fact that we were able to kind of, I guess, listen to her, and for her to kind of realize that my name is Wasim, it's not, something, different, is, popular, but it allowed her to kind of feel at ease that someone might understand her struggles as being an ethnic, and also kind of be able to support. So as we mentioned before, the word trust, sometimes just knowing that someone is of ethnic background allows people to gravitate towards you, especially in these areas where there's a lot of ethnic minorities. And I think a key part of the work which we're hoping to do with each other is kind of be able to connect people with the right channels and the right organizations to support them through their struggling situations.
So I myself, I hold a European passport, and I had to go through the process of getting pre-settled status because I didn't meet the criteria for the full settled status. And I remember going through the application and thinking about it, as simple as it might have been for me to kind of understand how the process goes, how complicated it could be for people who don't speak English as a first language, or who struggle to fill out forms, or who aren't comfortable with just form filling in general. And so that was kind of a start for me, that it kind of sets the scene for all that is to come then for you to access any services, kind of complications and the hurdles that are put in place. And sometimes people are following rules and they're putting forms together and they kind of don't have any room for maneuver. But if we are talking about kind of broader strategy, I think that's one thing that I personally came across. It's quite a complex question, isn't it? I would, at a local level, when you look at the voluntary sector, I personally have never come across an organization that has required any proof of legal, residence in the UK. And I think that's because there's an understanding at a kind of core level that people do not go to access services if they have alternative options, and that turning them away could, as Aurel had mentioned before, turning them away is the difference between them really having zero prospects and potentially turning things around for themselves. I feel quite strongly on a personal level that a lot of these things are basic human rights and shouldn't be linked to your legal status within a country. Can't claim to be an expert on the matter, but I know that that's something that is felt and definitely demonstrated throughout the voluntary sector itself.
So I just wanted to say, obviously when residents or people come and access our services, we don't ask the question like, what's your status, what's your immigration? That's not the first thing. They feel welcome no matter where they're from, who they are. But of course, when it comes down to the real deal, like what's the problem, how can we help, then that's when it comes, like they can't rent a house, no access to a public fund, all of this, and that's when you can see like you feel helpless because you can only help to a certain degree. And so yeah, it's quite sad because like Nada said, we're all humans, it should be, everybody should feel like that. It's sad because for example, I'll give it a couple of 2 weeks ago, we had somebody call and he was literally crying on the phone because he needed a certain amount of money to apply to pay for something. He's like, and he didn't have the money, and it was like, oh my God, what do we do? You know, we don't have any money, and we were like trying to see, do you have friends or family? And he was like, you know, an adult, and he was really like in tears, like he was so stressed about it. I've got only 2 days to get the money, and we had to try to really see how we can help. And luckily we were able to contact the local mosque, and they managed to actually raise some money with 2 days and give it to him. But again, you know, how many people or how many, you know, can be reached in that way, you know? And it's sad because, yeah, it's really sad. So again, we see everybody, we welcome everybody, but when it gets down to the real deal, you can see the struggle. Like there's only so much we can help them with in terms of what the problems, you know, that they are finding to access. This is their daily lives, you know, like health, food, shelter is a necessity everybody needs, and that's the first. You know, it's basic human rights, I say, and that's what they deserve, at least to a minimum, you know, before anything else.